Welcome to the first annual Henry Films Q&A. Alright, so this first question is from Ivar637. What's your favorite weapon and or sidearm of the Old West, and how would you decorate it? Well, I feel like if you're talking the Old West, you're gonna have to go with the 6-shooter revolver. And if I had to pick one specifically, it'd probably be the Colt 45 Peacemaker. One, because the name Peacemaker, that's raw as fuck. I always love a gun with a good name like that. Is Jesse James' gun. And then for the spaghetti western, they call me Trinity, the theme song, which I've used plenty of times in my videos. There's one line I love where he goes, "He keeps alive with his Colt 45. Fire. This next... Hello, Editing Henry here. I just realized I forgot to answer the part of the question about how I would actually style the revolver, so I'll answer that here. I'd keep the colors simple, no ivory, no gold, nothing like that, just standard chrome, iron, nickel, that kind of stuff. Some nice ornate engravings too, but nothing too showy, just to give it some texture and pattern and style. And then, what else? Oh, I really want to put something, carve something on the barrel like Micah has, or like Jim Boy Calloway has. That's always fire, some menacing statement, badass statement. If you were a Western gunslinger, what statement would you have carved in your barrel? Let me know in the comments. Okay, back to the video. This next question's by Querdy9078. What is your favorite town in Red Dead 2 to immerse yourself in? I don't know. I mean, obviously they're all immersive in their own way. The thing with me, when I'm free roaming and I'm not doing story missions, I look at the game from a little bit of a different lens when I'm playing as John or Arthur. Not just for the story or thematic reasons, but when you're in the epilogue, of course, you've got the full map unlocked, you've got access to Tumbleweed and Blackwater, and those are great towns that I always miss when I'm going back to playing as Arthur. So you have a lot of freedom to just roleplay in this open sandbox, this open Wild West sandbox, and do whatever story that you like. But when you're playing as Arthur, and when you're back in the story, the world just feels so much more alive. There's so much more random encounters, random events, NPCs that are like interactable, and if I'm looking to really immerse myself in a sort of living and breathing world, I want to play as Arthur. But if I'm just looking for kind of the freedom to do sandbox roleplay in the Wild West, then I'll play as John. So to get back to your main question, I would say probably Valentine, which I know is like a cliche answer you probably saw coming, but come on, it's Valentine, it's got that perfect Wild West charm and flavor, it's got a stunning landscape surrounding it, all the buildings and facades and locations you'd want in a Wild West town, NPCs that are gunslingers, NPCs that are criminals, NPCs that are normal guys, just interacting with the O'Driscolls. There's that one dude with the coon hat who you can always encounter at Smithfield's. I love the fact that there's 2 saloons, barbershop, you know, it's just got everything, and I love to hang out in Valentine. But a sleeper, I think, is Van Horn. Van Horn has so much goddamn interior space, even though it doesn't have a lot of businesses, you can go into a lot of buildings. Yeah, I'm still discovering entrances to buildings I didn't even know you could go into in Van Horn, like, even after all this time. There's so much things to do in Van Horn, and then of course the fact that it's got all the criminals and gunslingers and shit everywhere. It's fun. It's fun to get into shootouts there. I love the saloon. I love playing blackjack. So Van Horn and Valentine are probably the towns I spend the most amount of time in. And then another question asked by KXO97 is, what's my favorite movies of all time? Some of my favorite movies, obviously I have so much, but if I had to pin down a specific favorite, I'd say The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Almost Famous. I love Spike Lee's Malcolm X, it's one of my favorite biopics. I love Chinatown, my favorite neo-noir, or just probably film noir as a whole. I love detective stuff. I also love that Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Lawrence Kasdan sort of flavor, so I love like the Indiana Jones trilogy, the original trilogy. I love the original Star Wars trilogy. You know, those are movies that definitely shaped my love for storytelling and filmmaking. The Social Network is awesome, Boogie Nights is awesome, I love Do the Right Thing. I gotta mention Once Upon a Time in the West, Harakiri, Dazed and Confused, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Goodfellas, 2001: A Space Odyssey, what else haven't I said? Taxi Driver, did I say that? I love Taxi Driver. And then a film I've been revisiting a lot lately, of course, for the 2007 neo-western video is Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. That damn near might be approaching my favorite western, along with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I adore that film, so that's been one of my favorites recently. KXO97 asked, how did I get into westerns? You know, it's difficult for me to look back and trace it. If I had to guess, it has a little bit to do with The fact that my dad likes westerns, not nearly as much as I do now, but at the time, he really liked Tombstone, and he liked Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He showed me these movies when I was really first getting into film around 7th, 8th grade. I mean, I've been making movies since I was in, like, 3rd, 2nd grade, but I didn't really start to go back and immerse myself in film history until, like, my parents started showing me some movies. And then, of course, like with exposure to Quentin Tarantino, you can't help but fall down the rabbit hole of spaghetti westerns, and that's how I discovered my love for Sergio Leone, who's now my favorite filmmaker of all time. And my mom, whenever she was working or doing stuff around the house, whatever, she'd always like to have ambient music playing on like Pandora or Spotify on the TV. And that's how I got familiar with Ennio Morricone, because my mom would always listen to the Ennio Morricone and Yo-Yo Ma, like duo album they did, where Yo-Yo Ma's covering everything on the cello. He plays the cello, right? And of course, Ennio Morricone's music is in so many of Tarantino's westerns, and then obviously his collaborations with like Sergio Leone and Corbucci and stuff. Another question asked by Science Rules 346 is, what are your top 3 favorite games of all time? Red Dead Redemption 2 is definitely in that top 3. I was really into Assassin's Creed for the longest time because I've always been into history games, and it's hard for me to pick a favorite out of that franchise. I know this might be an unpopular opinion, but I did really love Origins. I know a lot of people don't love the newer model Assassin's Creed games, so if you want me to go back for more traditional, then of course Ezio's stuff. And then I really liked Unity. I know it was buggy at launch, but I do dig Unity. That gameplay is slick and cool and fun, but man, Origins open world is just fucking phenomenal, and Bayek is like a great character. I love that game. So Red Dead, AC Origins, and I gotta say Minecraft, right? Minecraft shaped my life for over a decade. Minecraft and Terraria. So if I'm cheating by saying 4, sorry, but there's some, and maybe specifically Minecraft, because it doesn't have as much lore or content as Terraria. It's more of a sandbox, but I also think there's such a beauty behind that. There's a beauty in the fact that this open world sandbox game allowed young kids and adults all together to just embrace their creativity and have fun with friends and build their own it's a beautiful sentiment. I love Minecraft. This next question is by Blightful Canadian. Will you expand to other franchises? Yeah, I'd love to. If you're just talking video games, I'd like to stick with the sort of, history video game theme, the same way I'd like to maybe with the movies I cover, but that can easily change. So maybe I'd go to like Assassin's Creed or Mafia or like LA Noire. But Grand Theft Auto is so much fun too, and I feel like inevitably, just because it's a Rockstar game as well, I'm going to talk about some GTA. In my 10K subscriber special where I was uploading some silly Red Dead clips, I was also thinking about maybe putting some GTA ones in there. But damn, as much as I love Grand Theft Auto 5, going back to play it after Red Dead, it's just, like, yikes. It's, I'm not going to say it didn't age well, it just feels dated now, which is crazy to think. Like, looking back in 2013, you would have never thought that GTA feels dated, but it's just the interactivity in Red Dead is unparalleled. Unjust Coin 3628 asked, what is your favorite sport? Favorite sport, I'm going to have to go for basketball. I played basketball for the longest time, wasn't great at it, wasn't competitive enough to pursue any sport as a career. I wasn't good at all, but I never intended on going to the NBA or anything. I just loved basketball. I love the storytelling of sports. I love dynasties. I love comeback stories. I love underdogs. I love, the history of it all, the brotherhood and camaraderie and stories that come from sports and basketball. Just because I was so immersed and in love with basketball, I played 2K for the longest time and was really into basketball history. But I just love that aspect of sports. So, of course, as an American, that could also leach into my love for, baseball. I've never been a big baseball player, huge baseball mega fan, but I love the beauty of baseball and how it represents Americana and small town, working class America and our connections. And I think sports are beautiful. It'll get me sappy and emotional. This next one is from TNK ... Is Arthur gay for Dutch? You want me to meme this answer or be for real? Realistically, no. I think Dutch is like a paternal figure to Arthur, similar to Hosea, and a brother at the same time. It's a complicated, found family situation. Arthur does love Dutch, he does care for Dutch, and he would do anything for Dutch. Like he says, he gave Dutch all he had. but I don't think he wants to fuck Dutch. This person, I love this question. Aiden Guzman 3510 asked, why Red Dead? Out of all games, what made you choose to make Red Dead content? I didn't really choose. What happened was, that happened to be the game I was playing over the last summer before I went off to college, and if you look at my channel, you can see that for the previous decade, I'd only made short films and, filmmaking content, animation, stop motion, stuff like that, and I knew going off to college that I wouldn't be able to do that. I'd have to make some sort of, voiceover video game content, and I just happened to be really into Red Dead at the time. Uploaded that town ranking video, and now it's at over 300,000 views, so it did really well. And that's how the YouTube algorithm works. You just got to find something that sticks and see what people liked about that video and just keep making videos like that. And the channel grew rapidly because y'all seem to like the content. That's why I feel so bad that it's been so long since I've uploaded, but believe me, I'm working on something fucking fire, so don't fret. Dry Lucky Charms 88 asked, how long have you been a YouTuber? Is Henry Films your first channel? Okay, one, I hope that 88 isn't like the neo-Nazi dog whistle 88, but I just hope you like that number. But I'll move on to, is Henry Films your first channel? Yes, this is my first channel. I mean, it's gone through a few names over the years, but this has absolutely been the channel I've been posting on my entire life since my childhood, for over 10 years now. Now, when I was in 6th, 7th grade, 5-6 years ago, no, Jesus Christ, that's longer than that, right? 7-8 years ago? I don't fucking know anymore. COVID fucked with my perspective on time. I went through this purge of all my old content. I got really embarrassed and insecure about all my short films, and I deleted all of them because my naive self didn't realize that you could private videos. And so I in hindsight, I'm really sad because I had fun movies that I made that are gone now. Lost Media. I had The Amazing Spider-Man. I made a trilogy with all my friends when we were in 5th grade. I had a whole thing. But you can still go back and see some of my older ones. I still kept a lot of them. I think Plunger Man and Toilet Boy is the oldest video on my channel that's still up. One of my first films I made. It's shitty, but it's silly. And then you can see a bunch of hood classics from where I'm from with me and my friends, Final Cut, Poncho, The Man on Two Wheels, Yard Wars, movies we made years ago just for shits and gigs. They're unpolished, but it'd usually just be a hangout or sleepover, and we'd be like, hey, you want to make a movie? And we'd do it for fun. So you can go back and get a kick out of watching some of those older stuff I did. I'm not in any of them, though. I'm always behind the camera. I'm too much of a control freak. Science Rules 346 also asked, along with that 3 favorite games questions earlier, he asked, what movies or shows do you like other than westerns? And I already talked about some of my favorite movies, so I'll talk about some of my favorite shows. I love Game of Thrones. I love A Song of Ice and Fire. I love that whole franchise and world. Obviously, it fell off the deep end at the end, but I don't really give a shit because those first 4, 5, 6 seasons are some of my favorite experiences watching a TV show. Obviously, Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul are fantastic, phenomenal. You don't need me to tell you that. I haven't watched The Sopranos yet, and I haven't watched The Wire yet. Those are my 2 next shows to watch. I gotta see them. I know I'm gonna love them. And then recently, I loved Succession a lot. I had a lot of fun with Succession. Oh my god, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, my favorite comedy show ever. One of my favorite things ever. Love the Always Sunny podcast, too. Hilarious. Blightful Canadian also asked, will you do lore, other videos on your favorite TV shows and movies? I'd love to see these happen. Yeah, that's where I'm planning on taking the channel, actually. Of course, I'm always going to do video game content as well, but, I am a filmmaker and that's my passion, so I would love to move into also doing video essays, analyses, reviews, lists, rankings, and stuff like that. So that's kind of with the 2007 year of the Neo-Western video, I'm sort of testing the waters a bit if y'all like that style of video, and if y'all aren't just with me only for Red Dead, but if you like my commentary on history and the Wild West and media as a whole, and you want to see me analyze stuff like that, then I would love to. That's my plan, is to move over to doing stuff like that, too. And so Nick Vannon, 1005, this will be the last question of today. What kind of music do you like? Dude, I fucking like everything. Now, if I were to, it's kind of all over the place. I think my top 3 artists this year were Kanye West, Elton John, and Fall Out Boy. So if that doesn't show how fucking all over the spectrum I am, I don't know what will. But I don't care. I love everything. I have one big playlist that if I hear a song I like, I put it on that playlist. I love classic rock, I love alternative rock, I love indie music, I love fucking orchestral classical music, I love jazz, I love fucking R&B, hip-hop, rap. You know, I fucking love it all. I think all music is great. I'm not one of those people who doesn't like a specific genre.